1, a 2, a 1.
It's time for the Better Horses radio show. So let's saddle up and ride as we explore the Western way of life, horses and cows, family and friends, a relationship with the land, and a relationship with God. It's all here on Better Horses Radio. Now let's hit the trails with the Better Horses team.
And welcome to Better Horses Radio. Appreciate you joining us. This is going to be 1 hour of talking all about horses. And with me today, the guy I enjoy so much who teaches me a lot about horses. Welcome, professional horse trainer, Merle Arbo.
Well, howdy. How are you doing today, Ed?
So you finally get there. We get to take a break from our horses and we actually sit down and talk about horses is our funnest thing we get to do.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
You know, one of the things that I will tell everyone that we talked about in our last show, and we told everybody we would follow up on this. We had our Jackson County Sheriff's Mounted Posse go into the Super Bowl parade as we get to shamelessly brag about the Kansas City Chiefs winning the Super Bowl.
Did they win the Super Bowl?
They did win a Super Bowl. We'll continue to ride that for the whole year.
Apologize for all counting.
Apologize for all our nationwide listeners that are probably shutting off this show right now. So the Kansas City Chiefs came in, and I will say that we had some great posse members who came in with two rookie horses who got to ride the parade route. Over 1 million people at 7:30 and 8 o'clock in the morning came out, and the horses did rather well. I think compliments to all the Jackson County Sheriff's Mounted Posse trainers who had two rookie horses, did really, really well, and very pleased. And I have to say this, Merle, I'll say this, and I'll be real quick about it, but what a great job Kansas City did, and what a great turnout we had. And it was very family oriented, very appreciative as the mounted posse walked up and down the parade. Do not judge this town based on what happened in the end. As you know, we did have a shooting at the end of the parade, or at the end of that day. And with over 850 law enforcement officers out there, with 14 precincts, helicopters, and all of the law enforcement available, we could not have done a better job to prepare for it. So I will say this, and we'll go right into the horse show. Thank you, Stacy Graves, who's the chief of police at the Kansas City Police Department, for allowing the Jackson County Sheriff's Mounted Posse and all the horses to walk up and down that parade. And we know she's going to do a great job. And that's all we're going to say about that. And let you know that we have a great show coming up.
Yes, we do. And we want to be sure and thank our sponsors, Merck Animal Health, Kleinsmith's Western Wear, Heritage Tractor, all for being the sponsors here on Better Horses.
And we've got coming up on this show, we have Patrick Sullivan, who's going to be a great performance trainer, and he's going to be at Equifest, and he's going to sit down and he's going to talk to us about everything he's done with horses, including riding 2,500 miles across California all the way into the Midwest with no bridle and no reins. So that's going to be interesting. We also have, to touch base on the farrier of Missouri, we have Kit Gillihan, who's going to talk to us all about what it's like to be a farrier and just all the challenges you have within that industry.
Yeah, Kit offers a lot of insight, especially using our new science that we've been able to help the horses instead of just trying to see what works and what doesn't.
You know, and wrapping up, Elmer McWilliams at the Hilltop Ranch is going to talk about his cattle industry and his cattle farm that he has, and talk about and answering the question, the cattle inventory reaching 73-year low. We haven't seen these counts since 1953. Little trivia here. What's our two top cattle states in the country? Merle, you want to give it a shot?
Well, you've got to go, obviously, Texas, and I'm going to say Oklahoma. They're probably right there together, and that'd be my guess.
Yeah, it's Texas, Oklahoma ranking 1 and 2nd. Missouri's coming in 3rd, and Nebraska's coming in 4th, with South Dakota coming in 5th as far as cattle goes. Wow. So we got a great show coming up. I want you to sit back, relax, enjoy this show. And but before we take into the episode, I want to take a quick word with Justin McKee from the Cowboy Channel, and he wants to give us a quick little inspiration story.
Hi, folks. Justin McKee for Better Horses. The other day, I saw a friend of mine, and I asked, "Hey, where's your daughter going to go to college?" And she says, "Oh, I don't know. We've got this option and that option, but we just want to make sure that we go to the place where it's God's will." I said, "God don't care where your kid goes to college." She looked at me like I was the devil. I said, "Yeah." I said, "God just wants her to take him wherever she chooses to go." That's the thing about God. God doesn't have just one will for our lives. He's God. He's got a million different options. He just wants us to take him with us wherever we go and to trust him. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and don't lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him and he will direct your paths. So choose. You have the freedom to choose. Just don't forget to invite God to ride along with you.
And thank you, Justin McGee, for doing that. I always appreciate his inspiration words. And hopefully we'll have him as one of our guests here on this show here shortly. Coming up, Phil Haugen, Be Your Best Horsemanship, is going to take a few minutes and talk about the small things we can do that make big differences in training your horse.
Hey everybody, I'm Phil Haugen. For this week's training tip, I'm going to talk about small changes and the accumulation of small changes that create huge results. And when you think about this, just looking at where we're at in our industry now, very competitive, very advanced. Everywhere I go, you know, at my clinics, and I think this is probably typical for all clinicians out there, wherever you go, people are really advanced. And you know, I think where we've gotten with our horses is that making small changes, the accumulation of small changes is what's going to create that big result. And so with that being said, I think it's really, really important now more than ever that we pay attention to detail. And I've talked about this before about pretty good or good enough. That kind of needs to leave our vocabulary. I mean, anymore, whatever you're doing on your horse, with your horse, I think it's really important that we strive to be great. I mean, we're not going to be perfect, but we need to try to be getting better and better and try to be perfect, even though we know we're not going to get there. So it's just like simple exercises like if I ask, you know, if I ask Casino to do a little turnaround, you know, and I could, just like there where I asked him and I asked for some effort, I think that's really important because effort is taught, okay? Effort is taught good or bad in humans or horses. So, you know, making small changes, like I had an older horse in last week for one of my customers, and really nice gelding, had a lot of great qualities, but he lacked effort. And, you know, effort is taught. And like for him, every time I'd ask him to follow his nose and step around, say I did, you know, just like right here. If I ask Casino to step around and I ask him to back up and pick up his feet and get collected and get round in his back, and everything I ask him to do needs to be done with effort and purpose. And sometimes you can't, here's what gets us, is inconsistencies, because we'll let something go, and then all of a sudden one day we're ticked off and we're going to fix it. And you know, I'll be the first to tell you at one time I was that guy, you know, and then we're going to fix it after we've let them be that way for a period of time, and now all of a sudden, by golly, we're ticked off and we're going to fix it. Well, the reason we have to go back and fix those things, or the reason I have to go back and fix things like that in my horses, is because I've let it happen, okay? Really, really important to pay attention to the small details. And just in this last year, I've seen horses where we made a few small incremental changes that turned that horse into a different competitor. I think everybody, it's just like a rope horse that's not scoring great. If your horse ain't scoring great, you're in trouble. I mean, as tough as it is out there now, you're in trouble, period. You know, say your horse in the barrel racing, you know, I ride a lot of barrel horses, you know, horses that go on to that industry, horses that are insecure in a turn. You got to fix that. You got to fix that before you ever get the end result you want. Pay attention to the details. Pay attention to the small incremental changes. The accumulation of a few small changes can create a huge change, a huge progression in the performance of your horse. So I know that's not a training tip that I demonstrate, but that's a training tip that to me is so, so important. So that's my tip for today. I hope that helps. Follow us on our site, philhaugenhorsemanship.com, every Tuesday morning. Follow us on our podcast, Be Your Best Horsemanship. Also on Instagram at Phil Haugen Horsemanship and on Facebook. Have a great week. Have a great week of training. God bless each and every one of you. And as always, today and every day, be your best.
Internal parasite control is critical to your horse's health, but isn't always easy. Some worms are as stubborn as they are dangerous. Luckily, there's Panacur fenbendazole from Merck Animal Health. It works in a powerful and extremely safe way, so it's tough on parasites, but gentle on horses, making it a safe choice for foals, weanlings, and even thin or debilitated horses. Consult your veterinarian for assistance in the diagnosis, treatment, and control of parasitism, and ask how Panacur can become part of your deworming strategy. Learn more at MerckAnimalHealthUSA.com.
We're here for the hardworking, the resilient. We're for the people who measure their days by what needs to get done, not by hours. Where kids learn responsibility at a young age and generations work side by side. Where work doesn't pause for holidays or bad weather. It just gets harder. Where value and hard work means more than the clothes you wear. We're Kleinschmidt's Western Store, Higginsville, Missouri.
Routine dental examination and treatments are essential for high-quality horse care. To prevent potential problems, a horse's mouth should be examined at least once a year. I'm Dr. Chris Blevins, Equine Field Service Veterinarian at Kansas State University Veterinary Health Center. We can examine the mouth and provide a treatment plan to meet the needs of each client and their horse. Visit us at ksvhc.org. The Veterinary Health Center, to discover, to teach, to heal.
It's time to mark your calendar for one of the top horse events of the season, the 27th Annual Equifest of Kansas. This all-breed horse fair is coming to Salina, Kansas, beginning Thursday, March 14th through Sunday, March 17th. World-renowned clinicians including Guy McLean, the Jerry Diaz family, Julie Goodnight, Patrick Sullivan, and Sally Batten. Catch a special Thursday night show, plus the most popular competitions with ranch rodeo, barrel race, and breakaway roping. Wall-to-wall shopping for all things horse. For more information, go to equifestofks.com.
And welcome back to Better Horses. I can't tell you how excited I am to have our sponsors that really help us move this show forward. And if you've ever gone out and bought Western gear, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. The largest Midwestern store that everyone likes to shop at nationwide. It's called Kleinschmidt's in Higginsville, Missouri. Now, I'm not kidding you. They have over 30,000 square feet of Western gear. Take time out and just go to kleinboot.com. That's their website, KLEIN boot.com. I'm telling you, it will be worth your while. And they are amazing on how they can gear up a cowboy and a cowgirl. So we talked about it at the beginning of the show. And one of the most exciting things that we have coming into the Midwest is a Equifest of Kansas. Now, it's located in Salina, Kansas, and it's going to be going on next month, which will be March 14th through the 17th at the Expo Center. Now, Equifest is going to have 15,000 attendees coming in. And they're going to have competitions, and they're going to have a lot of education, and they're going to have a lot of entertainment, and also, more importantly, they're going to have a lot of clinics. One exciting thing they're going to be doing is having one of the most professional clinicians coming to Equifest of Kansas. And this gentleman, he's amazing. I've watched him. and he studied that. He has his MBA at the International Management of the University of Houston, and he's done a lot. He studied under Ryan Rose. He's a professional trainer out of Brooklyn. If you haven't heard of this guy, he's also worked with Dan James at Double Dan Horsemanship. He's competed at Mustang Makeover, finishing in the top levels. And he's finishing second in the Freestyle Pro Division at the International Liberty Horse Association Championship. Now, he's also ridden 2,500 miles in California to Kentucky, completely bridleless. And he does all sorts of other things. I mean, not only doing that extra mile, turning some of the most challenging rescue horses into advanced Liberty horses, but he's earned the Grand Champion title in 1922 at the Appalachian Trainer Face-Off Professional Division. Now, this is something we get to talk to. So I'm going to welcome Patrick Sullivan to Better Horses. Patrick, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor and a privilege to be on this station with you, and I'm excited for Equifest. It's something that I look forward to every single year.
Yeah, you have, I gotta lay this out. So you travel quite a bit. You're heading to another clinic. I enjoy talking to you. You really like to break it down. Explain to our listeners kind of your type of training and what you do first and what you try to educate your clinicians that come over to watch you.
I think on the most fundamental root level of what we do is we get the horses to think for themselves and to work with the human. I think one of the muscle groups that people really tend to miss on with horses is their mind, and being able to connect with their mind and using it to help their body get what we want. And so when we start with all of our horses and all of our people that we work with each and every day, we transition away from using ropes to get their mind thinking and let them go to think for themselves. Because what we find is that when you can get a horse that wants to do what you're asking, you're going to have a higher likelihood of achieving all of your goals than if the horse is trying to fight you the whole time. So from a very fundamental level, we're trying to use their brain to connect with us so that we can work together and accomplish both of our goals.
Now, I think everybody around the country knows that they've got a challenged horse, but you've taken some real challenging rescue horses and broke them down into advanced Liberty training. What are some of the challenges you have when you do something to that extreme?
I think probably the most difficult thing is that every horse is different. And when we take in these extremely difficult horses, the biggest thing we run into is that we never know what's going to happen because they have such extreme behaviors, whether it's kicking or bucking or rearing or bolting, and they take it to an extreme. And these are the horses that people say that need to be put down, that shouldn't be, around or safe. And we just use this Liberty training to help transform their lives so that they can be the best horse partner for a human in the future.
Did you find the Mustang makeover satisfying? Do you feel like this is something that we can get behind and get more and more people to take on this project? I think this is one of the things that you've done, and you've done very well with it.
I love the Mustang makeover. I think it helps and educates so many Mustangs in our great country, and it allows people the opportunity to work with a Mustang that I feel personally that everyone that's in the horse industry should try at least once, is to help educate a horse that's not domesticated, that comes from the wild, and help educate them and to be a better horse. So I highly recommend it. It's something I want to do again, and I can't wait to do that.
So when you walked into the Mustang makeover, that kind of transitions to the forever horse that everybody wants, that can do the all around. This is something you like to do, but you kind of transition to the Liberty training on top of that. And you've even rode 2,500 miles from California to Kentucky, and if I'm not mistaken, completely bridleless.
That's right. That was an adventure of a lifetime, something that I truly enjoyed, and something that I will cherish forever. We went through 11 different states, over 2,500 miles, completely bridleless on my two Arabians. And we stopped at 18 different nonprofits and helped educate people about the art of liberty along the way.
And what was your biggest, or did you have one? I don't even know if you had one. Did you have like a special challenge that you didn't think you were going to overcome, or did you find that fairly easy in finding the paths to get from point A to point B?
Probably the most dangerous and the most difficult challenge of the whole trip was avoiding the cars. And no matter where you go in this country, it seems, unless you're out west in the middle of the desert, there's just cars everywhere. And just trying to work around staying safe around vehicles that aren't used to driving around people on horseback was probably the most challenging and dangerous thing that we faced every single day.
And you also continue to travel. So let's walk through your kind of schedule every year. I've been trying to follow you. I think you're in the South and then you go to the North. And I think that you are still a newlywed. So tell me about the special negotiations you had when you got married.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was truly a negotiation or more of a
Okay.
firm request. You know what I mean? But I promised my wife when we got married that we would spend time up with her family in Maine. And I'm a Texas boy, born and raised. What we do now is we spend about 6 or 7 months down in Texas during the winter, and then we go up to Maine during the summer and fall months. And it's really a good transition for both of us because we both get to see our family, we both get to spend time with people that we love and we care about, but we also get to educate people in different parts of the country that are striving for what we do.
I like that. We just mentioned you're going to be at Equifest, but talk about your entire year. I mean, what does your clinics look like throughout the year?
I've been very fortunate and blessed that every year we've gotten busier and busier, and this year is no different. We, stop in. We just got back from Arizona. We're heading up to Kansas here in a couple of weeks. I'm actually headed to Tennessee tomorrow for another expo, and we have about 20 clinics throughout the country this year, and we're really excited, but it keeps us on our toes and on the road quite a bit.
Patrick, as our listeners are listening to this interview with your kind of experience and you have such a long runway of training that you're going to be doing, what are some of the takeaways a listener can come through that the most common mistakes you see horse owners get into?
I think the biggest thing that I see is that people don't think that they have the capability of achieving the things that they see on TV, and they just put themselves out of the way from the get-go. And what we strive to do is saying that as long as you take it piece by piece and don't try to take it all at once, you can accomplish all of your horse goals. And we see all the time that people try to go from A to Z, but they don't take the steps going from A to B to C to D and so on, because they skip the fundamentals and they want to get to the cool things. But if you can't get to the cool things unless you have the fundamentals of the horse and human relationship first.
And if you broke that down, do you offer levels of training during your clinicians? Do you take the beginners well to the advanced, or how do you break that down?
Yeah, so I'm very fortunate that I have my wife as well that works with me, and we take people that have never been around a horse, the first session ever, and I let them to use our horses, to people that have been riding their whole lives, and anything in between. So we love that we're able to teach a variety of different students from whatever background you have and help give you a little education to help you and your horse move forward.
Now let's talk about and just kind of pivot over to the Liberty type training. You worked with Dan James, obviously Elizabeth and Dan James, you've got to study under there for such a long time. That kind of like really sets your stage for training. And I think that's going to continue on, correct?
100%. Dan and Elizabeth are like family to me. They've set me up for the future that we have. And at the end of the day, I wouldn't be here without them. So I'm so thankful each and every day that they gave me the education that now I can go on and continue to help educate people with their horses. And, you can't accomplish anything by yourself. It's all about the people that have helped you get there. And I'm so thankful for people like Dan and Elizabeth that gave us that education that we can continue to share with others.
Now, also, Patrick, if somebody wanted to get a hold of you and jump on one of your clinics, like as you said, you go from Texas to Maine, how can they get a hold of you? What's the best website they could contact you with, and just to get into your clinics?
Absolutely. It's www.moderndayhorsemanship.com. So it's moderndayhorsemanship.com, and that'll be all the information on there, and you'll be able to follow us on Facebook and Instagram as well.
Let's take a minute and talk about the economics of horses. You're in the state of Texas, one of the top 3 states that houses the most amount of horses in the country. How do you see the economics of horsemanship growing? Do you see it as far as a plateau? Do you think it plateaued, or do you see this industry really growing?
Well, we're striving to help it grow, and we are focusing a lot lately on the youth because without the youth getting into horses, we feel like that future isn't going to be as prominent. So we are really focusing on the next generation, that they will continue to carry that light for future generations of horsemen and women.
I'm going to dovetail that comment and have you comment on this for the parents that are listening to this radio show and they're thinking about getting the horse. Can you lay down the fundamentals of why you think that's beneficial for kids when they're just on the borderline, or whether they should go forward with horses or if they should just wait a while? Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, I'm very passionate about this topic, and between all of us here listening, horses can heal people better than people can heal people. And I feel like being around a horse, especially as a youth, can help shape the rest of your life. They will teach you so many things about being a better person than just about anything else you do. And how the youth interacts with a horse will shape the rest of their life. And I'm very, very big into believing that horses and youth are a perfect combination because they love to have fun and they have the drive and the vision that will carry on with each other forever.
I could not agree with you more. With so much access that the youth has with their cell phones and their mobile devices, it's nice that they get to throw all that to the side for a moment and learn a skill that will take them to the rest of their lives. And I think you're showing that.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, all it takes is one time for a youth to meet a horse, and they're going to remember that experience forever. And that's exactly what we want to do, is make positive experiences between youth and horses that'll shape the rest of their lives.
I'll add this too before we close. Give me a moment on your safety lessons that you learn when you coach these new kids coming in.
Horses can be a dangerous animal because they're big and they're strong and they have a mind of their own. So the first thing that I always tell people when they're around horses is that you must always stay in front of them at the beginning. Because if they were going to run away, then they have to feel the space and they have to feel the freedom that they can get away when they want to. And if you take being around a horse and you treat them like they are fun and they're enjoyable, but they can also hurt you if you're not careful, it'll help you grow to being more comfortable around them in a safe manner.
I think that's perfect. Everyone, we're talking to Patrick Sullivan, and he's going to be at the Equifest of Kansas in Salina, Kansas, March 14th through the 17th at the Expo Center. Patrick, you're leaving right now. You're heading to Tennessee. Whereabouts in Tennessee are you heading?
Yes, sir. So we're heading to Murfreesboro, Tennessee, just south of Nashville, to the Southern Equine Expo. So we can't wait to get down there.
And before we close it out, can you give them your contact and website one more time?
Yes, it's www.moderndayhorsemanship.com.
And that's perfect. Everyone, we're listening to Patrick Sullivan from Texas all the way to Maine. We're going to have more better horses coming your way. Patrick, we want to thank you for joining us and really appreciate that information. And if you don't mind, I'll catch you on the road again and you could join us again.
Yes, sir. It's an honor and a privilege to be a part of Better Horses, and it's something I look forward to every single time I see you at any of the events that we're around.
And I appreciate that. You're listening to Better Horses. Stay with us. We're going to have more information on horses right after these messages. And welcome back to Better Horses. This is a great show, Merle, that we have going on. And, it's kind of very diversified between cattle and horses.
Yes, we got a lot of good things going here on this show.
Before we go into our third segment, I want to say we want to thank our sponsors coming through this radio every week. And Heritage Tractor, with its multiple locations around the Midwest, is fantastic. I know we both use them. It is nothing short of fantastic when you have, and I have a 6110 John Deere tractor. I walk in, they get it solved. I'm out the door. They are fast in service. They're fast in product lines. And so check them out at heritagetractor.com. And thanks again for those sponsors. All right. So I told you we have a very diversified radio show. We talked about trainers. We talked about cattle, but we don't put enough emphasis on our farriers out there and how important they become to us. And so we're going to really have a heart-to-heart conversation with one of the most experienced farriers we have here in the Midwest. And he's going to give us his background and tell us how important this end of the cycle of business horses is important. Everyone, I want you to welcome Kristopher Gillihan. He is Irish. We did verify that before. Kristopher, or Kit, we like to call him. Welcome to our show.
How are you guys today?
Top of the morning to you. Yeah.
All right, we're all going to try our best to try our accents. So, hey, Kit, we appreciate you coming back. But when we're going to really deep dive into this. But can you give us your background on how long and how much you've been farrieing throughout your life?
Oh, in my mid 40s now. Growing up, money was kind of tight, so I got my first job working for a friend of ours at church, doing some construction work at 12. And once I had a steady paycheck, Dad said, "Son, you can start paying for your own shoeing." So I started shoeing my own horses at 12, and right around 21 or so, I started full time. I had enough clientele built up at that point to float the boat and feed and pay for myself. So roughly 23, 24 years, somewhere in that ballpark, full time. But almost 30 some if you go back to the first one I climbed under.
Now, we talked about it. We talked about the history of being a farrier. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the technology of shoeing horses hasn't changed in hundreds of years. Would you agree or disagree with that?
No, it's pretty much stayed the same as far as what we do underneath them and how we do it. Every ethical group, like the Japanese, do it a little bit different than we do. They don't use nippers the same way that we do. They'll use a knife even when cutting hoof wall, unlike us. But the same way we do it, it's pretty much been the same since the beginning. That said, however, technology has increased so much, we'd be fools as farriers not to embrace the ability to look at an X-ray and see what we're doing, from the inside out as well as from the outside in, so to speak.
Yeah, I think that's a big help too, as far as when you have horses that maybe aren't sound, is you also have the advantage of science, to go in and figure out, well, why is this horse sore, or why is this horse lame, and that's probably been a big help to you, hasn't it?
It's huge. I mean, I don't have a magic grasp. I don't have X-ray vision. A lot of what I get as the horseshoer is secondhand. While I was riding him and my friend said that he was doing this, because the rider themselves can't see it. And even then the description is in layman's terms at best. So having the ability and a lot more now, 20 plus years into my career than in the beginning, farriers are working hand in hand with vets, able to get way more diagnosis before we just climb underneath them and try what worked on the last one. It's a huge advantage.
Now, Kit, you've had a lot of people that you've been able to service. Give us the answer to what makes a good client and where can they improve when it comes to prepping for the farrier to come to see your horse?
For me, I guess you could go through several angles. You could say paying on time. You could say scheduling. I mean, everybody's probably got a different view, but I have a very good book. I have a bunch of people that I really enjoy to working with. And so that side, I don't really worry about getting paid from my customers. But the one thing I would say that make every customer better is just to be respectful of time. Every horseshoer, it's not like we get paid by the hour. It's not like we bid a job and if something changes, we get to raise our rates. So cleaning the horse's feet, having them caught, being ready for us, a good flat space to work. I do everything from backyard horses to show barns. And sometimes some of my backyard stops are honestly the best. Then they just look out for all them little things. So it's more that than anything. I want to get home and see my kids and go to ball practice and do that stuff as well. And if I've got a clean feed or catch horses, that can add an hour onto my day. That can make it from me missing a practice or getting there. That's a big deal for me.
Kit, what do you think is the most challenging part of being a farrier?
Well, from a work aspect, it's the communication side, everything. For me, communicating with the customer, like we talked about earlier with dealing with veterinarians and scheduling that and getting a call with them before you're out somewhere and showing up to do it. from a work aspect, it's all that part for me. That's not the part that I enjoy is sitting on a phone for an hour in the evening. Climbing underneath the horses, maybe I've been doing it so long, I'm so used to it. I guess I physically feel still good. So I don't, that side of it's fairly easy. I would say it's that communicating, making sure everything is getting lined up and getting a hold of a vet and, not showing up somewhere and them going, hey, we need to call the vet now, and trying to get that all worked out. That's the biggest thing, is getting all that stuff done beforehand and being prepared and ready when you get there.
You hit on something that I want to talk about. We put at my barn, I have graduated workers to be farriers. I think the first surprise everybody realizes is how physically demanding it is. I think the second thing people don't realize is how dangerous it can be, no matter how experienced you are. Kit, you went through something, and it's not career ending, so God bless you. It didn't stop you, but your worst accident you had, can you describe that? And what lessons learned did you have?
Yeah, I was working on some horses in an alleyway, like we do all the time. Horses I've done a million times. The owner had a barn help there holding horses for me. It was a draft cross mare. She kept just trying to get out with the other ones. It was the last one of the day, and we were just trying to get through it. And she wasn't mean. She wasn't. So them are the ones you kind of let your guard down around, the ones that you think you can trust. I mean, that horse doesn't have a mean bone in her body. And she just kept trying to run off down the hallway. And so I told the little gal, I said, let's loop it through the stall front so you can hold her a little bit easier. And you're talking big horses. Even a normal horse is 1,000 to 1,200 pounds. You put a draft cross and they're even bigger. And even a 200 plus pound man can't hold them if they want to leave, So we looped it through the stall front where she could hold it, but still let some rope slide so that it wasn't tight, so she wouldn't, throw herself backwards and hurt her, me, or anybody else. And so she tried to run off down the hallway again. And when she couldn't run off at that point, she reared up. Me anticipating her running off, I tried to hold that foot between my knees and threw me on my face underneath her. And when she come down, she crushed my foot and had to have surgery to put a bunch of the bones back in the places they should be. But like you said, Ed, thanks be to God that I can still stand on it and walk on it and run on it with little to no pain unless I think about it.
I think that's important. It is a good career move to have, but I think everybody needs to realize this is a very physical job, and you guys do probably one of the most important things we do that we need as far as having horses.
Well, this goes right back to what we talked about earlier. What a good client is going to be honest with you at all times. They're going to be like, hey, this horse, for example, one of the best clients I had forever, or one that I look fondly upon, Keith called me, and I didn't know the guy from Adam. He goes, hey kid, I live down the road from one of your other customers. I've got a couple horses I want shod. I keep them shod year round. Would you be interested in taking them on? He goes, but before you answer, let me tell you 100% the truth. He goes, every horseshoer in the county except for you has fired me, and that's probably because I haven't hired you yet. He goes, I got one that she'll nail the shoes on for you, but the other one's going to try to hurt you.
Yeah.
And just the honesty that I got there made me go try and do it because, to be honest, I like a challenge anyway. But, just that honesty, not showing up and them going, well, he's never done that before. You can't, how many times has a farrier heard that? Just be honest with us. I mean, we're climbing underneath a 1,200 pound horse, and we're putting ourselves in a vulnerable position underneath that horse. Honesty is a big thing for me.
I couldn't agree with you more. You know what? They're probably the most underpaid people that we ever have in this industry. Kit, I want to thank you for joining us here at Better Horses. We wish you all the best. Thanks for taking 10 minutes. I know you pulled off to the side of the road. Merle, there are 28,000 farriers around the country. There's a lot of young bucks coming in. It's guys like Kit that's basically going to get them mentored and directed and pointed in the right direction. So this is Better Horses. We're going to be right back with more equine information. I'm Ed Adams.
And I'm Merle Arbo.
And we'll be right back right after these messages.
Hi, I'm Dr. Dylan Luter, a specialist in equine performance medicine at the Kansas State University Veterinary Health Center. Our new service focuses on lameness diagnosis, advanced imaging, physical therapy, and regenerative medicine for horses with injuries preventing them from performing at their best. We can treat a variety of conditions and design a customized rehabilitation plan to meet the needs of each client and their horse. Visit us at ksvhc.org, the Veterinary Health Center, to discover, to teach, to heal.
Hi, I'm Tommy with Heritage Tractor. Whether you're looking to maintain your yard or your whole ranching operation, Heritage Tractor has John Deere mower and tractor packages that make work fly by. With a variety of horsepower and attachment configurations, we have a package to best fit your needs and budget. To learn more about these exclusive packages, visit us in store or online at heritagetractor.com.
Legendary products, extraordinary service. That's our heritage.
Established in 1956, the Pinto Horse Association of America was formed to welcome all types of equines and maintain their show records and pedigrees. PTHA currently has over 88,000 members with 157,000 registered pintos. There are currently 3 separate registries: the Color Registry, the Solid Registry, and the Long Ear Registry. We welcome all levels of competition within a family-friendly environment. Become a member, register, and add value to your horse. For more information, check out the website pintoworld.com.
Runny nose, cough, fever. It's flu season for humans and horses. Like human flu vaccines, equine flu vaccines must be updated to protect against the flu strains circulating now. Merck Animal Health's flu-containing vaccines include the most current flu strains, protecting your horse from illness and time-missed training because of it. Talk with your veterinarian about Prestige flu vaccines and learn more about the science of advanced protection at prestigevaccines.com.
We're here for the hardworking, the resilient. We're for the people who measure their days by what needs to get done, not by hours. Where kids learn responsibility at a young age and generations work side by side. Where work doesn't pause for holidays or bad weather. It just gets harder. Where value and hard work means more than the clothes you wear. We're Kleinschmidt's Western Store, Higginsville, Missouri.
It's time to go with United Mosquito and Fly Control's premier fly system for fly control in your barn, providing relief for horses from the stress of fighting flies, and also makes the barn more pleasant for everyone in the barn. Easy, effective, and safe. With United Mosquito and Fly Control, we provide a full service. You as the barn owner don't have to do anything. We go everywhere and take care of everything with our friendly fast service. Call today at 913-558-3814 or email Paul at unitedmosquito.com.
It's time to mark your calendar for one of the top horse events of the season, the 27th Annual Equifest of Kansas. This all-breed horse fair is coming to Salina, Kansas, beginning Thursday, March 14th through Sunday, March 17th. World-renowned clinicians including Guy McLean, the Jerry Diaz family, Julie Goodnight, Patrick Sullivan, and Sally Batten. Catch a special Thursday night show, plus the most popular competitions with ranch rodeo, barrel race, and breakaway roping. Wall-to-wall shopping for all things horse. For more information, go to equifestofks.com.
And welcome back with us to Better Horses. I'm here with Ed Adams, and we've got a special segment coming on about our better cattle. I'm sure you're all going to want to hear that one. Our fourth segment is sponsored by the Pinto Horse Association of America. And the World Show is upcoming, and Ed, I hope we're going to be back there again this year. That's always a fun show to shoot, both radio and TV there.
You know what? I'm training for that, so I want to make sure that you're going to be a judge and you're going to give me free training until that June date rise. So, this is also my favorite segment, the Better Cattle. And I'm very excited about our next guest who's coming in. And this guy has been a long-time rancher. And I'm very excited to have him in. Elmer McWilliams is coming on board, and we get to talk to him about the Hilltop Farms.
Welcome, Elmer.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Elmer, I've got to ask you a question that we've been talking about at the beginning of the show. Is the cattle inventory that has reached a 73-year low. And your thoughts, I know we've had a lot of Arctic blasts throughout the years. What do you think is really behind all this? And where do you see the industry going?
With the cattle numbers as low as they have been in history, and we've seen like this last fall, we've seen an all-time high in feeder calf prices, and the population just keeps on growing. I think there's going to be a big demand for beef in the future. I think it's a good business to be in.
Now, tell us about your breeding program, who's come on board. What type of breeding program do you have, and tell us about your cow-calf operation.
We're a seed stock producer for Gelbvieh and Balancers. We raise bulls and sell to mainly commercial cattlemen, and offer a few females in our production cell too. But Gelbvieh is known for the maternal side. The cows produce, for the size of the cow and everything, they produce a calf, way above average as far as their weight.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Elmer, is the Gelbvieh do offer a lot of maternal value. And then is the Gelbvieh how you got into the Balancers?
Yes.
So you might tell our listeners there at home what qualifies as a Balancer, and kind of explain the Balancer program, if you would.
Yeah, the Balancer is more or less a crossbred animal. It's every breed out there has came up with another breed by crossbreeding and making another name, but the Balancer is the Gelbvieh cross using Black Angus and Red Angus primarily. It takes 25% Gelbvieh to make a Balancer. The Balancer animal is registered as a Balancer from 75% to 25% Gelbvieh.
Okay.
And they can either be red or black.
Well, and speaking of Gelbvieh and Balancers, you've got a lot of animals consigned to a upcoming sale. Is that right?
Well, it's our own production. We're really not consigned. We're having our own production sale.
Okay. And that's in Carthage, Missouri. Is that correct?
Yes, at the Joplin Regional Stockyards, March the 9th.
So if our listeners were wanting to get more information on that, can they go to, do you have a website, or is there a sale book they could get a hold of, or how could they get that?
Yes, if they're interested in our sale or what we have to offer, they can go to our website, hilltop-farms@hotmail.com, or they can call me and we'll be glad to, or text me. I'll be glad to send them a sale catalog. And our videos are on DV auction. They can be viewed at DV auction. If you go to DV auction and click on Hilltop Farms, Gelbvieh, and Balancers, they can see our sale offering.
Elmer, that's a good point. Do you find a lot of people going to your location, or do you find them on the line streaming the sale itself?
I see more and more of it going online. People are busy and they don't have time to go to a sale, and they'll get online and watch that sale online and buy what they need to on there, and not have to go to a sale and not be out at the expense of traveling. And I see that more and more. It seems like it's more popular every year.
And Elmer, this is a family-run operation. You've been doing this for a while, and so how is your family moving to the next generation in this farm industry?
Well, I've got two sons, and they both have families, and the older son works here year-round with me. We grow crop and raise cattle and everything. My younger son is an ag teacher here at our local high school and everything, but he is more interested in doing our show animals and stuff like that. So he helps primarily on that. And my oldest son helps me around here on the farm, do the row crop and the grain and the cattle. And they've got kids coming on that's just about for age and everything. And they seem to be really interested in wanting to show animals and everything. So I think we'll be around for a while.
And for those of you that's just joined us, we've been talking with Elmer McWilliams from Asbury, Missouri. He's from Hilltop Farms, and he's got an upcoming sale March 9th at Carthage, Missouri at the Joplin Regional Stockyards.
I always get a kick out of this, Merle, is grabbing these guys who are not used to being on the radio, and they come in and they have all of this information that we can grab, and appreciate him doing that. That's really great. Hey, we're getting close to the end of the show. I wanted to let everybody know, we mentioned it all day. This is going to be the Equifest of Kansas. If you do not have this on your calendar, it's going to be March 14th through the 17th in Salina, Kansas, and that'll be at the Livestock Expo Center. And that's going to be a nice thing to go to. If you haven't done it, coming up at the end of this month, in February 29th, March 2nd, the Cinched Time Events Championship, hosted by the Lazy E Arena in Guthrie, Oklahoma. And last but not least is the Missouri Ranch Horse Association. This is something I think, Merle, you and I ought to go to. This is in St. Louis at the National Equestrian Center. This is going to be the Missouri Ranch Horse Association. They're going to have their ranch and stock type horses on March 8th through March 10th. Fun thing to go to, fun thing to do with your horse. And that's going to be just a lot of fun. And we'll be sure and enter that too. Merle, good show today.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
appreciate that. And we want to thank all our good buckaroos and buckarettes. Want to mind your mom and dads. Be brave, but don't take any chances out there. Until next time, I'm Ed Adams.
And I'm Merle Arbo.
Happy trails, and always ride for the brand.